EMbers, and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be doing the video game alphabet challenge. I first saw this challenge on another channel here on YouTube, Linda the Gamer Gal, so I will link her video down below for you. Basically we are going to be talking about my favourite games through the alphabet. Now unfortunately this means that a lot of my favourite games I couldn't actually write down on the list because obviously there's only one A, there's only one B, so I had to make a few concessions. Let's start at the top with A, and my favourite video game starting with the letter A is Ark the Lad Twilight of the Spirits. I absolutely adore this game on my favourite platform, the PlayStation 2. There's quite a few PlayStation 2 games on this list, as I'm sure you can imagine. And I just absolutely love Ark the Lad. I am a huge RPG player, so again, quite a few of these games are RPG, but not all of them. And Ark the Lad, Twilight of the Spirits and the Ark the Lad franchise in general is one that I don't hear spoken about as often as I believe it should be, to be honest. Coming in with the letter B, we have the Batman Arkham franchise, of course, and I had to pick one game for B, and I eventually went with Batman Arkham City, because I do think it is my favourite out of all four of the Arkham games, although I do love them all. For the letter C, I chose Buffy the Vampire Slayer Chaos Bleeds. Again, another PlayStation 2 game here, and very, very nostalgic for me. With the letter D, this will be no surprise if you've been on this channel for a while. It is of course my favourite game of all time, again on the PlayStation 2, Draken the Ancient's Gates. I could talk about that game for hours. I wish more people knew about it. I absolutely adore that game. Rin is my favourite video game heroine of all time, and yeah, I could just talk on and on about that game. Fantasy, dragons, kind of medieval setting, what's more to love? With the letter E, I chose Escape from Monkey Island, my personal favourite in the Monkey Island game series. I know that's quite a divisive opinion among Monkey Island fans. There's probably a lot of nostalgia there for me. I have played some of the other Monkey Island games, but for me, Escape from Monkey Island was the first one I played, and so yeah, huge nostalgia factor for it being my favourite. For the letter F, of course I was only going to pick the Fable franchise, and I've chosen to pick Fable 2 as my personal favourite of all the Fable games. Coming in with the letter G, we have Gauntlet Dark Legacy. Again, we've spoke about Gauntlet on this channel a few times, including my epic fail with Gauntlet Legends. But I do love the Gauntlet franchise. I think it's the only arcade style game I have on this list. Dark Legacy is more... it's less arcadey, if that makes sense. So coming in with the letter H, we have Harvest Moon Back to Nature, the first Harvest Moon game I ever played. I absolutely adore Back to Nature. Not Friends of Mineral Town, Back to Nature, the original on the PlayStation 1. Moving on to the letter I now, and this is one of the first modern games on the list, and it is It Takes Two. I absolutely adored playing It Takes Two with my partner, and we had such fun with that game. And it was a bonus because it was free on the Xbox Game Pass, so absolutely phenomenal game, and if you do have a player 2, whoever that may be, I highly encourage you to play It Takes Two together. Coming in with the letter J, it's not the best game in the world, but it is Joyride Turbo. I've spoke about it in my wrap-ups before, and it's a very, very old game for the Xbox 360, but I actually started playing it on the Game Pass with my partner. It's a typical racing game, very, very simple, very, very easy, but we have been having a lot of fun with it over the last year, year and a half. So for K, we have a little bit of a cheat here, because I was originally going to put Kingdom Hearts, but after thinking about it, I had to include another Arkham game, so I have included Arkham Knight here. It has a K, okay? It's a little bit of a cheat, but I couldn't justify just having Arkham City on this list because I absolutely adore Arkham Knight, so I did go for that for K over Kingdom Hearts, but it could just as easily have been Kingdom Hearts in this spot. Ultimately, bit of a cheat, I went for Arkham Knight. For L, we have another newer video game, and that is actually Lake. So again, another one that I downloaded from the Xbox Game Pass, and it's such a simple game, but I absolutely adore it. So the premise of Lake is that you are going into your old hometown of Providence Oaks. You're a player called Meredith Weiss, and her father is a mailman. Obviously he's gone on vacation, so she comes in to do the... is it 3 weeks, 2 weeks? I think she's the mail lady for 2 weeks, mail person. I don't know what you say, it's an American simulator, and as you can tell I'm not American. But it's such a simple game, but it's so full of heart. I absolutely love the music, the visuals, everything. So for M, again we have another slight cheat because I put in here Heroes of Might and Magic Quest for the Dragonbone Staff. Because the franchise is known as the Might and Magic franchise, I thought that we could use this for M. Again, I absolutely love the Heroes of Might and Magic franchise. Quest for the Dragonbone Staff was my introduction. Is it the best Heroes game? Probably not. But for me, for nostalgia, for everything else, I have chosen to put it in this place. For N, we have another one that's a little bit of a cheat, and that is Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights. Again on the PlayStation 2. Yes, it's called Scooby-Doo, but it's called Night of 100 Frights, so it's going in N. Again, very nostalgic one for me. Is it the best video game of all time? Absolutely not. Is it the best Scooby-Doo game? Yes, I believe it is. I have played a few Scooby-Doo games, and I really, really like the game, yeah. Some people, I think, grow up out of their childhood favourite games. Not me, they stick with me forever. For O, we of course have The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, my favourite Elder Scrolls game of the lot. I absolutely adore Oblivion. If you've been watching my channel, I have been doing playthroughs of Oblivion, and am I always an archer? Pretty much. I have tried to do a magic only run and some other runs, but I always go back to the archery. But I absolutely adore Oblivion. For the letter P now, we have another PlayStation 2 game, Pirates: The Legend of Black Cat. Again, a game I wish more people knew about. People need to play this game and they need to know about this game. Again, is nostalgia talking? Maybe, but a badass ginger female pirate, who do you think I wanted to be when I grew up? I absolutely love Katarina in this game. I love pirates, I'm a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan. I'm a huge fan of piracy, the Golden Age, things like that in history, so anything to do with piracy, you've got me. Coming in for the letter Q, as you can probably tell behind me with all the Harry Potter stuff, had to be Quidditch World Cup. Again, not the most fantastic game in the world, but it serves its purpose and I really, really enjoy it. You play Quidditch. That's it. For R, I had to pick something from the Resident Evil franchise, and I was debating which Resident Evil game I wanted to put here. Ultimately, I settled on Resident Evil 4. I do think that out of all of them, Resident Evil 4 is my favourite. Least of all because I know it wasn't her first game, but I am a huge Ada Wong fan. There's a theme here with strong women. Now, by the time this video goes up, I do believe that the Resident Evil 4 remaster is out. Unfortunately, I cannot play it because I do not own a current gen console. For the letter S, we have yet another PlayStation 2 game, and that is Shadow Hearts. I adore the Shadow Hearts franchise. Now, for most people, I think they put Shadow Hearts Covenant here, but for me, I'm going for the original game, Shadow Hearts. It's, again, nostalgia. It was the first one I played. For the longest time, I didn't know there were more games in the franchise, to be honest, because I started with Shadow Hearts. Previous to Shadow Hearts, there was Kudelka on the PlayStation 1. Very different style of game, but in the same canon. I've never actually played Kudelka. I'd really, really like to. So Shadow Hearts was my first introduction to this franchise. I do love Covenant as well. From the New World, I'm a little shaky. I love the fact that it mixes history because although the game is of course entirely fictional, you have places like Rouen in France and some other locations that when I was a kid, I didn't know any of these locations. The only location I knew was of course London. So it made me want to research the history of these locations when I was young playing it. So it really gave me the drive to want to learn more about history and geography, different types of places, what happened in them. And of course I am kind of a pseudo-historian now, I guess, so I do owe quite a bit to Shadow Hearts in that regard. Speaking of everything I just spoke of, for the letter T, think of everything I just said, what else could I have but Tomb Raider? I decided to go for the OG for this. When I was a young girl, I really wanted to be an archaeologist because of Lara Croft. Again, it's one of those games that has Egypt and other places that I really wanted to learn more about, and because of that game, I researched about mythologies and history of places, same as Shadow Hearts, and I just cannot thank the Tomb Raider franchise enough for what it did to me as a young girl. Now we're on to the letter U, and it's another two-player game that's not too recent, but more recent than most on my list, and that is Unravel 2, and I just adore this. Again, I got this on the Xbox Game Pass. I played it with my partner and we just had such fun playing Unravel 2 together. The soundtrack for this game is phenomenal. The setting, it's just absolutely beautiful. To the point where for one of our anniversaries, I actually bought my partner the figures from Unravel. So yeah, that's how much I adored that game. Now, we come to the first letter that I don't have an answer for, and that is V. I have played games that start with the letter V, but I couldn't justify picking any of them for this. So I suppose my challenge for you is, do you have a favourite video game starting with V? Because I personally don't. So we'll skip V and move straight on to W. And for this one, again a little bit of a cheat, but I picked Animal Crossing Wild World on the Nintendo DS. My first introduction to Animal Crossing. I am a big Animal Crossing fan. The reason I put Wild World here is it's not the best Animal Crossing game. New Horizons beats it, City Folk probably beats it, but for pure nostalgia it was the first Animal Crossing I played, and I remember just adoring it so much as a child. Now we're on to X, and much like V, I couldn't think of a single video game starting with X that I would consider my favourite. So we have skipped X. Again, there are probably games I've played that have started with X, but I just couldn't justify putting one on this list. So out of the whole alphabet, V and X just evaded me for this list, so I'm sorry, but it's -2. Now we're on to Y, and this is a very strange game in terms of what I actually normally gravitate towards, and this is Yes Your Grace for the Nintendo Switch. Now, I bought this as an impulse because, again, kind of medievally, kind of Viking-y, I love that kind of stuff, and the advert had this heavy sort of Scandinavian music that I could not get out of my head because I had no intention of downloading this game, but that music was just stuck in my head, which I suppose is what an advert is supposed to do, and it worked because I did buy the game and I really, really enjoy it. Very, very simple game, relatively easy game in the sense of how to play it, but the intricacies of having enough to keep your people happy, having enough money to keep everything together. So if I haven't said what it is, basically, Yes Your Grace, you are a king, and you have a set number of days before a cataclysmic event happens, and in between times you have to balance your kingdom, I suppose. So it's about keeping resources, keeping the people happy. If you give too much money to the people, you don't have enough money in your own treasury for the war, that kind of thing. And that kind of, it's fascinating to me, trying to balance this kind of thing, because it's very, very close to history. And then finally, we're on to the letter Z, and I hope this video didn't run too long, because I'm watching it now and it's over 20 minutes long, because I ramble and ramble and ramble. I'm sure I'll cut it down for you guys. But the final letter, letter Z, has to be a Zelda game, right? And what other Zelda game could I pick but Breath of the Wild? It has to be. I am so excited for Tears of the Kingdom. I adore Breath of the Wild. I'm actually doing a playthrough of it now just to sort of get me started, just to get me prepared for Tears of the Kingdom. I'm really, really excited for that game. I could have put a few other Zelda games here. I do have some more favourites, but Breath of the Wild, I do truly believe, is the best Zelda game to date. That is my A to Z challenge. I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, bye Embers!